Was I wrong for what I did? Honestly, after everything, I still struggle with that question. My family, my entire family, mind you, decided to uninvite me from Christmas, their exact words being that it was no place for losers. Losers, they called me. Me, their flesh and blood. But what they didn't count on was that this loser had a card up his sleeve, a very calm, very calculated card. And by the time I was done, their perfect Christmas wasn't so perfect anymore. Tell me, would you have done the same thing? It all started, as most of my family's issues do, with money, or rather, my lack thereof in their eyes. My family has always been aspirational, to put it mildly. My father, a successful real estate developer, instilled in my older brother, Mark, and my sister, Sarah, the importance of status. Mark followed in Dad's footsteps, now running his own development firm, with a trophy wife and 2 perfect kids. Sarah married a corporate lawyer, lives in a mansion in the suburbs, and spends her days volunteering for various upscale charities. And then there was me. I chose a different path. After college, I dabbled in various creative fields: photography, graphic design, even a short stint trying to make it as a musician. None of it panned out into the kind of lucrative career my family deemed acceptable. I wasn't struggling, exactly. I had a decent apartment, paid my bills, and was generally content with my life. But I wasn't driving a luxury car, I didn't own a designer watch, and my bank account didn't boast 6 figures. To them, this made me a failure, a loser. Every family gathering became an interrogation. When are you going to get a real job, David? My mother would sigh, stirring her organic matcha latte. You're not getting any younger. My father would boom, gesturing with his expensive cigar. Mark would offer unsolicited business advice, always starting with, if you were serious about making something of yourself. And Sarah would just look at me with pity, a look that cut deeper than any insult. I tried to explain my passion, my contentment, but it was like speaking to a brick wall covered in designer wallpaper. They saw only their own reflections of success, and my life, my choices, were a smudge on their pristine image. I tolerated it, mostly. For years, I just let their comments roll off my back. Family is family, after all, and despite their constant critiques, there were still moments of genuine connection, fleeting as they were. Or so I thought. This year, Christmas was supposed to be at my parents' sprawling estate, a tradition that had been going on since I was a child. I'd already picked out gifts, mentally prepared myself for the usual barrage of questions about my career, and even bought a new festive sweater, hoping to appear a little less loser-ish. In their eyes, the invitation, usually a simple text or a phone call from my mother, never came. A week before Christmas, I finally called my mom, wondering if I'd missed something. "Oh, David," she said, her voice dripping with an almost saccharine sweetness that I knew meant trouble. "About Christmas. We've decided to keep it a bit more intimate this year." My heart sank. Intimate. My family never did intimate. Their gatherings were always grand affairs, a spectacle of wealth and status. "What do you mean, intimate?" I asked, a knot forming in my stomach. "Well," she continued, "your father and I just felt, with everything going on, you know, the economy and the difficulties some people are facing, we just thought it best to have a smaller celebration. Just us, and Mark's family, and Sarah's, of course." The implication hung heavy in the air. "So, I'm not invited?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. There was a pause, a long, uncomfortable pause where I could hear her breathing. Then she cleared her throat. "David, honey, it's not that you're not invited. It's just, we want Christmas to be a joyful occasion, a celebration of all our successes, and with your current situation, we just felt it might be a bit awkward. Mark and Sarah have worked so hard to get where they are, and we don't want anything to dampen their spirits. It's really just no place for losers, dear." The words hit me like a physical blow, Asterisk no place for losers. Asterisk my own mother, the woman who birthed me, who supposedly loved me, just called me a loser and uninvited me from Christmas. My initial reaction was pure shock, then a wave of hot anger washed over me. I wanted to scream, to rail at her, to remind her of every sacrifice I'd made for them. Every time I'd listened to their endless bragging with a fake smile. But I didn't. I just said, "I understand, Mom, Merry Christmas," and I hung up. I sat there in silence for a long time, the phone still clutched in my hand. The anger slowly morphed into a cold, hard resolve. They thought I was a loser. They thought I didn't belong. Fine, they would get their intimate Christmas. But it wouldn't be the perfect, joyful celebration they envisioned. Oh no, I spent the next few days in a haze, replaying the conversation, feeling the sting of their rejection. But beneath the hurt, a plan began to form, a calm, meticulous plan. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to confront them. I was going to show them exactly what a loser was capable of. So that's the situation I was in, uninvited and utterly humiliated. I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have just let it go? Would you have confronted them? Or would you have, like me, decided that a calm revenge was the only path forward? Seriously, I'm curious to know your thoughts before you hear the rest. My plan wasn't about destruction. It was about disruption. My family prided themselves on their image, their carefully constructed facade of perfection. My goal was to gently, subtly, yet irrevocably, crack that facade. I knew their Christmas traditions inside and out. The pre-dinner cocktails, the elaborate multi-course meal, the exchanging of lavish gifts, the inevitable group photo by the fireplace, all meticulously documented for social media. My mother especially loved her perfect family Christmas posts. That was my target. The first step was to gather intelligence. I knew they wouldn't post the exact date or time of their intimate gathering, but my sister Sarah was notoriously bad at keeping secrets, especially when she was trying to subtly brag. A quick scroll through her Instagram stories confirmed it. She'd posted a picture of her new Christmas dress with the caption, "Perfect for Christmas Eve dinner at Mom and Dad's, Christmas Eve." Excellent. I also knew their house layout. My parents had a state-of-the-art smart home system, everything controlled by voice commands or an app. Lights, heating, music, security, all integrated. And my father, in his typical over-the-top fashion, had a whole array of smart devices for entertainment, including a massive projector system in the living room for their after-dinner holiday movie. This was where I saw my opportunity, over the years, because I was the tech-savvy one, a title they begrudgingly gave me only when they needed help with their Wi-Fi. I had helped set up some of their smart home devices, including the projector and their main sound system. Crucially, I still had access to a guest account on their network, which, because they never bothered to change passwords, still worked. It was limited, but enough for what I needed. My calm revenge started small, almost imperceptibly. On Christmas Eve, around late afternoon, I began. I knew they would be starting their cocktails. Using the network access, I remotely adjusted the thermostat, just a single degree up. Then another, an hour later, and another. Nothing drastic enough to immediately notice, but enough to make the room feel subtly uncomfortable, a little too stuffy. Then came the music. My father had a carefully curated playlist of classic Christmas carols, always playing softly in the background. I accessed their smart speaker system. First, I would subtly lower the volume, almost to a whisper, then slowly raise it back up. Then, after a few minutes, I'd switch to something jarring, not loud, not offensive, but just off. Think elevator music playing for a few seconds, then back to carols, or a snippet of a cheesy pop song. Each time, I'd switch it back quickly, making them question if they'd even heard it. "Did you hear that, dear?" my mother would undoubtedly ask, my father shrugging it off. The goal wasn't to crash the party, but to create a pervasive sense of unease, to chip away at their perfect, curated atmosphere. These were minor irritations, but they were cumulative. By the time they sat down for dinner, the house was a few degrees warmer than it should be, and the Christmas music had developed a subtle, almost imperceptible glitchiness. I imagined my mother, already stressed about her perfect meal, constantly wondering if the air conditioning was broken or if the sound system was on the fritz. The main event, however, was reserved for their post-dinner movie. This was their ritual. Everyone would gather in the living room, replete with expensive digestives, and watch a classic holiday film projected onto the massive screen. This was when the family photo would also be taken, usually by my sister Sarah, for her precious Instagram. I waited. I knew the exact timing because my mother had once complained about how long it took my father to set up the projector every year. As soon as I saw Sarah's Instagram story pop up, a picture of their impeccably set table with the caption "Feast Mode" activated, I knew I had roughly an hour until movie time. My final preparation was simple. I had pre-downloaded a specific video. It wasn't vulgar or offensive. It was far more insidious. It was a video of a man, dressed in a shabby, slightly ill-fitting suit, sitting in a messy apartment, talking directly to the camera about the struggles of life, the unfairness of society, and the crushing weight of expectations from wealthy, judgmental families. He wasn't aggressive, just intensely, quietly melancholic. A loser, in their terms, as they settled down, undoubtedly with my father fumbling with the projector remote, my sister queuing up "It's a Wonderful Life," or some other wholesome classic. I made my move. Using my remaining network access, I targeted the projector system. Instead of the movie they wanted to watch, my video queued up. I knew there would be a moment of confusion. My father would try to change it, thinking he'd made a mistake, but I had disabled his remote access to the projector's input, locking it onto my preselected media. The projection would begin with my loser silently appearing on the screen, the image massive and unavoidable. The audio was low, almost a whisper at first, making them lean in, trying to understand. "Hello," the man on screen began, his voice soft but carrying a profound sadness. "I wonder if any of you have ever felt truly unwanted, like a burden, like a disappointment." I imagined the collective discomfort in that room. My mother probably gasped. My father would be red-faced, jabbing at the remote. Mark and Sarah would be exchanging horrified glances, their perfect Christmas shattered. The man on screen continued, his words carefully chosen to resonate with my own feelings, but broad enough to make them feel like he was speaking directly to them. He talked about how family should be a source of unconditional love, not judgment. He spoke of the pain of being constantly compared, of being made to feel less than for not fitting into a predetermined mold of success. He wasn't angry, just deeply, profoundly sorrowful. The genius of it was that it wasn't an attack, it was a mirror. It reflected back their own values, their own coldness, in a way that was impossible to ignore. They couldn't just dismiss it as some random internet prank. The content was too close to home. The man on screen went on for a good 5 minutes, his quiet, introspective monologue filling their opulent living room. I imagined the panic, the scrambling, the frantic attempts to turn off the projector, to change the input. But I had locked it. They would have had to physically unplug it, which, for my tech-averse family, would have been a minor ordeal, especially in the dark. By the time they managed to kill the projection, the atmosphere would have been thoroughly poisoned. The joyful celebration of their successes would have been replaced by awkward silence, uncomfortable glances, and the lingering echoes of the losers' a quiet despair. The perfect family photo by the fireplace, unlikely to happen, at least not with genuine smiles. The evening, their carefully constructed façade would have crumbled. I didn't get a direct confirmation of the fallout, of course, but the next day, Sarah's usually prolific Instagram was conspicuously silent. No Christmas morning posts, no perfect family photos. My mother didn't call to complain, nor did she send a passive-aggressive text. The silence was, in itself, a victory. I had achieved my calm revenge. I hadn't destroyed anything tangible. I hadn't yelled or confronted them. I had simply, precisely, and very calmly shone a light on their own hypocrisy and coldness, right in the heart of their sacred, loser-free celebration. The aftermath was subtle but profound. I didn't hear from any of them directly for a few weeks after Christmas. My phone was oddly quiet. Then, a few days into the new year, I received a text from my mother. It wasn't an apology, not exactly. It was short and incredibly stilted. David, it read, "We missed you at Christmas. It wasn't the same without you." No mention of the projector, no acknowledgement of what had happened. Just that one sentence. It wasn't the full vindication I might have once craved, but it was enough. It was an admission, however veiled, that my absence, and perhaps the strange events of Christmas Eve, had left a mark. It showed that my disruption had worked. My relationship with my family hasn't magically mended. They still don't fully understand or accept my life choices. But the dynamic has shifted. The constant loser comments have stopped. The interrogations about my career have lessened. There's a new, almost hesitant respect in their voices when they speak to me. I think my calm revenge, in its quiet way, forced them to confront a truth they'd long ignored, that perhaps their definition of success and of family was far too narrow, and that sometimes the loser is the one who truly sees things clearly. So that's my story. It's been a long journey, and it's still ongoing. But I truly want to know, after hearing everything, what do you think? Was I wrong for what I did? Did I go too far, or was it a justified response to their cruelty? Like this video if you were on my side, if you think I did what needed to be done. Subscribe for more stories like this, where I share my experiences and ask for your honest opinions. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.